Welcome back to my channel. I decided to try something different than my normal podcast episode. I just wanted to talk about SummerSlam 2025, which happened this weekend. And I consider myself a casual wrestling fan. So before I get into my review of SummerSlam, a couple of caveats about my casual fandom and my definition of what it is. So it's been many. So I got back into wrestling starting with WrestleMania 40 because of the storyline about the whole bloodline with The Rock and Cody trying to complete his story, trying to get the belt for his family legacy because there's more than one royal family. That got me back into wrestling. Prior to that, I didn't watch wrestling. The last time I watched wrestling was like early 2000s when you had WWE versus WCW. They were fighting each other with the ratings, and you had the whole NWO storyline with WCW, and of course WWE. You had the rising stardom of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Christian and Edge. I think just they were part of the Brood. They just started their career at that time. And Triple H was a wrestler at the time, and he had his group. I'm trying to remember what their D-Generation X, I think, was the name of his group. So anyway, that was the last time I watched up until WrestleMania 40. So so with WrestleMania 40, I got sucked in. I had no idea who these characters were. I did not know who Rhea Ripley was. Cody Rhodes, I was unfamiliar with him. I knew his brother because he used to be Goldust. Apparently, Cody Rhodes also was Goldust at one point in time. The Rock, of course, I knew him from the early 2000s. And so, yeah, I had to learn all these new characters that are in wrestling. And Randy Orton, I knew because I think he just got into wrestling around that time when I was leaving. But anyways, so since WrestleMania 40, I started watching it regularly. I started watching all the PLEs from that point on, including all the SmackDowns and all the Monday Night Raws. And this year, since WrestleMania 40, which was such a peak storyline that sucked me in, and I'm a big story person. I love watching stuff because of a good storyline. I felt like the product had been going into a steadily downward spiral since WrestleMania 40. The Bloodline kept dominating most of the stories that were going on. The Rock, he left since WrestleMania 40. But then he would show up randomly. He would he slit his throat when Cody, there was a split with the bloodline. So Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes ended up teaming up with each other to fight against I think Solo Sikoa and someone else. My memory is foggy. And then he shows up and he crosses his throat as if they betrayed him. So we wondered what that was going on. Also during that whole time, because Cody beat Roman, and the whole reason why The Rock came back in the first place was because he was supposed to fight Roman Reigns for the title in WrestleMania 40, but the fandom wanted Cody Rhodes, so Cody got to fight Roman Reigns instead. So in the air, there was always this anticipation of Cody defending his title against The Rock, possibly in WrestleMania 41. So these random appearances were throughout the year just further cemented that. So whenever, any other matches that Cody had up until during that whole run, everyone just expected Cody to win because he has to go up against The Rock. So when he won against AJ Styles, it didn't matter. He fought Kevin Owens, didn't matter. I think he fought Randy Orton, it didn't matter. Like in the back of your mind, you always thought these matches are inconsequential because at the end of the day, we're waiting for Cody versus The Rock, and then finally The Rock, at some point during the year, uh, acknowledged that he's not going to challenge Cody. So that completely was like, well, what the hell? What was this whole anticipation? What was the slitting your throat? And then he shows up again, and he's like, I'm the final boss, but I'm also this PR guy. I'm pushing Monday Night Raw, first time ever on Netflix. And then he showed up on like NXT, and he was like, just he was just eating it up with the crowd. And then this weird storyline about him wanting Cody's soul. And it was like, what the hell? And then Travis Scott somehow got involved in the picture. Like he's a rapper apparently. I don't know much about modern hip hop. But then he got involved into now he's part of The Rock's posse. And then of course, so then you have John Cena's betrayal, and in I think Elimination Chamber, that's when it happened. And then they fight WrestleMania 41. Cena versus Cody, and then you hear the Travis Scott song play during the ending, towards the ending of WrestleMania 41, and everyone was thinking, oh wow, The Rock is finally going to show his face, because we want to find out. So because Cody did not sell his soul to The Rock, did Cena did, because at that same time Cena did the heel turn, and then Travis Scott pops up, and so it just made everyone scratch their head, like, well, Travis Scott is associated with The Rock, but The Rock is nowhere to be found, and yet he's helping Cena beat Cody for the belt. And then since then, Cena was just doing his heel turn and saying, "This is my final year. When I leave, I'm going to be the last true champion and whatever, up until SummerSlam." So that was the last straw for me in terms of like WrestleMania 40 all the way to WrestleMania 41. There was a lot of storylines in the middle of that year, throughout that year, that just left me disappointed. I became a big fan of Drew McIntyre. He didn't win anything. There was a lot of these like weird storylines with Karrion Kross that would start somewhere. First it was with New Day, but nothing happened with that. And then New Day turned, but they never went back to, like, wasn't Karrion Kross involved with that. Karrion Kross's faction disappeared. The Wyatt Six premiered, and then had a great premiere. Their whole video and how they showed up in I forget if it was Raw or SmackDown. I think it was Raw. But then it fizzled out. First they targeted Miz, because Miz was going bad, and he betrayed what's his name, R-Truth. He betrayed him and R-Truth were a tag team, but he's been getting further and further frustrated with R-Truth's silliness, and then he became a heel and betrayed him. So Wyatt Six targeted him, and then Wyatt Six targeted Karrion Kross, because naturally Karrion Kross is this he's the devil on everyone's shoulder apparently. But then that story fizzled out, and then Wyatt Six disappeared. So like storylines like that, like nothing happened with them. Judgment Day became a joke. They after the betrayal of Ripley and Damian Priest, it was just they just kept losing matches, and they were just a shadow of their former selves. Like all the characters that were left weren't really that interesting, except for Dominic Mysterio, who along with Liv Morgan, and then the addition of Raquel Rodriguez, got a little interesting. But the rest of them, Carlito, who I think he got released, and then of course JD McDonough and Finn, nothing was really done with them. So like a lot of these weird storylines, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. What's his face? Nothing panned out with him either. Alpha Academy guy, what's his name? I always say he looks like Kurt Angle. Chad something. I mean, now he does Grande Americano. So there was a lot of characters that nothing came of them. Uh, and then there was a bunch of releases of wrestlers that I was a fan of, like Carlito he was just a fun running joke with Bloodline, but there was also the big guy Braun Strowman, um, and some other people. And so with all of that, plus um, Rhea Ripley not ever getting the title, like they just kept cheating her out, but also Drew McIntyre was the real one that really messed up my fandom for wrestling, because he just never seemed to get a shot. And then just a lot of other people that they never really did anything with. So all of that culminated with WrestleMania 41, and I just started losing interest. I started feeling like, okay, I'll just maybe stick to the PLEs. And so the last regular show I watched was SmackDown back in March, when they had the TLC match, the table ladder chair match, in which the Street Profits retained their title. That was the last regular show I watched. And then after that, I just stuck to PLEs. The last PLE was Money in the Bank. So I was definitely in the dark with a lot of the people here, because apparently there was some storylines between Saturday Night SmackDown and WWE Evolution, and of course all the SmackDown and Raws that I didn't watch. A lot of these matches that were in SummerSlam were part of these things that I did not watch, so I was in the dark. So, with all that being said, here is my take on SummerSlam. So the first match of the night was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. So I had already known that what's his name got hurt. Seth freaking Rollins got hurt. He created this new organization with him, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Those were during the last few Raws that I watched. So apparently we have this tag team going on, probably because of the injury that Seth Rollins suffered during the Saturday Night Main Event that I did not watch. I heard about it on the Rich Eisen show, because he was the host of the show, and that's where I found that out. That and YouTube. So anyway, Roman Reigns hasn't been around since I want to say since WrestleMania. Actually, I don't even think he was in Money in the Bank. No, he wasn't. So since WrestleMania, I haven't seen him. So he probably showed up in one of the Raws or SmackDowns up right before SummerSlam. So haven't been keeping track of him. So I didn't realize that there was a storyline going on. So that being said, the match was fun. It was cool seeing this different side of Roman being selfless and sacrificing his body for Jey Uso and letting Jey Uso get the pin. So Braun Breaker was impressive as usual. Bronson Reed really didn't do much. I mean, he did some things here and there. I expected a couple of tsunami splashes, but he didn't do any, from what I recall. Jey Uso took most of the beatings, I believe. Roman kept getting beat up outside of the ring, but then it culminated to the ending, so yeah, it was a. I wasn't really as again, since I didn't know the storylines, I wasn't really as drawn in, so I was sort of half paying attention. But all in all, it was a fun opening to the night. Then you have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss teaming up against Raquel Rodriguez against Roxanne Perez. So I know that Liv Morgan got injured at some point in the past few months. So Roxanne has been teaming up with Raquel as the defending tag team champions, because Raquel had won them with Liv Morgan. I think that was the last time I saw her um, and then she got injured. I forget when. Oh, it was I didn't watch when she got injured, so I found out about it. Um, and then of course, the last I saw Charlotte Flair, she lost to Tiffany Stratton, and she wasn't well liked. But I know she wanted to clean up her image and become a fan favorite again. And I guess this was the way they did it. She teamed up with Alexa Bliss as conventional or convenient allies because they're not friends. That's the tagline about them, that they are reluctantly associated with each other to to be tag team partners. And that match was fun. I actually enjoyed it. Um, Charlotte Flair carried the match for her side of the team. Roxanne was impressive. I didn't expect her to do, because she's so small, and I never really watched NXT. So the few times that I watched her in Royal Rumble and in some other PLE match that she was in, I think it was Elimination Chamber. She's been pretty impressive. So despite her size, she still somehow manages to be believable in overtaking her opponents, regardless of the disadvantages in terms of physical size and strength. So despite Charlotte Flair strength and whatnot, she still held her own pretty well and in a believable fashion. And of course, Raquel Rodriguez was impressive as being her, being her strong self. That's her character. She's the muscle of the team. And early on when she first showed up as Liv Morgan's bodyguard, back when Liv Morgan was the champion before they won the tag team titles. It was sort of a joke. Like, she was supposed to be the muscle, but she kept getting beat up. She was supposed to be the what was the name of that character? Whatever. But yeah, she was supposed to be the bodyguard, but she kept getting beat up. But then when they became tag team champions, 5-time tag team champions, she started becoming more of a force in the wrestling ring, and she's still carrying that forward. I'm glad Alexa Bliss has been separated from the White Six, because I heard she was originally a part of that group of people, and I think there was rumors that they were going to get together, which would have been, I think, a bad thing for her career-wise and storyline-wise. So I'm glad that instead they did this pivot with Charlotte Flair, and the match was another fun one. I totally enjoyed that one. Now you have the next one is Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. This one was, for me, for my purposes, for my biases, was disappointing. I'm a Karrion Kross fan. He won me over this year between WrestleMania 40 and 41, even though he didn't get a lot of screen time. The little bit of time that he got, he worked it, and he became a character to root for. And Sami Zayn's character has been sort of a very what's the word I'm looking for? His character is very judgmental, so to speak. Like, he's always on his high horse, saying I'm better than thou. And so this whole storyline was, Karrion Kross is like, I know there's evil in you. I know you're not as pure as you pretend to be, and you could actually be a better, you could be a more successful wrestler if you stop being so straight-laced and whatnot. So I was hoping for Karrion to win this one, because I think he already fought him. He fought Sami Zayn already 2 times before. And even before this, I think he fought AJ Styles, because that was another character, another wrestler that he was messing with. And they wrestled not that long ago, and he lost that as well. So Karrion Kross has just been on this trajectory of just losing matches and nothing really coming of it. Like he's bothering these people and picking at them and trying to get into their heads and be like this mental game manipulator, but nothing comes of it. And I think it's because the executives at WWE really don't know what to do with him, or they don't care to do anything with him, which is why he also had he did like an independent match outside of the WWE's PLEs. I think there was a documentary on YouTube. I think during the last either during WrestleMania. I think it was during WrestleMania. Yeah, it was WrestleMania because WrestleMania was in Las Vegas. It was either WrestleMania or Money in the Bank, whichever one was in Las Vegas. That's his hometown. So he signed up for this independent wrestling match in Las Vegas because he wasn't in the PLE, and that's been pretty much his career these since from WrestleMania 40 to 41. From now, during that time period, WWE hasn't really done anything with him. Like I mentioned, his faction, I think they were called the Final Testament. They were just released, and they had a thing going on. They had a thing going on with the Wyatt Six when Wyatt Six first came back to WWE, but nothing came of it. And that would have been, I think, a good storyline, but they just squashed it. Also, Wyatt Six got injured, I think, and he disappeared for a few months. And then they pushed Karrion Kross from Monday Night Raw over to SmackDown, and then he tried to, pick fights with, not pick fights, but create something with Sami Zayn and with AJ Styles, and someone else, I think, but nothing would come of it. And I think they're just waiting out his contract, waiting for it to expire, and then just let him go, let him walk, because this was disappointing. I expected him to win, but nope. Sami Zayn, he's a fan favorite too, and I think WWE likes him, and so they're always going to favor the script on his side versus Karrion Kross, who they haven't done anything with for as long as they've had him. Then you had Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. I'm a bit of a Jade Cargill fan. I was rooting for her over Tiffany Stratton. The match was fun. It was a short one. Jade Cargill did some new moves I've not seen before. So she's been putting in the work and getting better as a in-ring wrestler. But sadly, she did not win. Tiffany Stratton has continued to retain her titles, and all in all, it was a fun match. I was hoping for Jade Cargill to win because, Tiffany Stratton is fun, but I feel like, it could be my bias speaking, but in terms also of like believability, like I mentioned how Roxanne Perez somehow comes off as believable, even though she's a tiny character, a tiny person. It comes off believable when she outmatches, like say a Charlotte Flair at times. In this case, I feel like Jade Cargill is just such an overpowering figure or person that realistically, and again, could be just my bias. Realistically, I don't think Tiffany Stratton could beat her. But she's a fan favorite. Tiffany Stratton is since they brought her up from NXT, they've done nothing but build her up, and she's been in an upward spiral. And Jade Cargill, ever since she came in, she's had like these moments, and then she would lose. She had she first came in and started helping Naomi and Bianca Belair whenever they got beat up on by Damage Control, and then they had her tag team with Bianca Belair, and then they won the belts, and then they kept losing them whenever they would do three-way matches with two other tag teams. They would somehow always lose, and And then they had the storyline that Naomi sidelined her, and then she beat Naomi, but somehow Naomi wins Money in the Bank, and now she's a champion. And you have Jade Cargill here, who I think is a stronger wrestler than Tiffany Stratton, but the powers that be did not write the script that way. So Tiffany retains her title, and Jade Cargill's on the losing end, and I have no idea what they're going to do with her at this point, because she's on SmackDown. Naomi now is on Monday Night Raw. The only other title that she can go for, I think, would be Intercontinental Championship. Oh, no, sorry. She's on SmackDown. So the U.S. Championship, the Women's U.S. Championship belt. But that's a demotion. That's not the championship. That's not the Women's Champion, which is Tiffany Stratton. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. Maybe they'll have another match or something. We'll see. And then, of course, the night ended with... no, it didn't end with that. The next match was Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul against Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. Now, as this goes, it was an okay match. There was no stakes, so to speak. There were no titles on the line. At most, it was bragging rights, but really the bragging rights was between Logan Paul and Jelly Roll, because apparently Jelly Roll is being insulted by Logan Paul because Logan Paul is calling him an outsider. The hypocrisy of it being that he himself is the outsider, because he's a YouTube influencer that is a part-time wrestler, so to speak. And he's been fighting that image in the WWE since WrestleMania 40. I think he's been doing matches before WrestleMania 40, but I've learned of his existence in the WWE since that point in time. And so he's been trying to, and when he was what title did he have? He had I think it was the U.S. Championship title, actually. He would only fight during PLEs. He never had matches during any of the SmackDowns or Raws. He was in fact, a part-time champion. But now this year, for 2025, apparently, he's trying to be a more of a full-time wrestler. So because of that, he's trying to, I guess, compensate. At least that's the storyline. He's compensating by being overly judgmental of someone like Jelly Roll, who wasn't even there as a wrestler. He was there to perform his song. But because of that, now they sort of reeled him in to wrestle. And so this match happened, and it was mostly the Logan Paul versus Jelly Roll match, because Drew and Randy didn't really do much. They had some moments, but really it was just Logan Paul beating up on Jelly Roll, or Jelly Roll sometimes having a moment over Logan Paul. He had like this, and then there was so what made this match fun in a sort of twisted way was the amount of abuse that Jelly Roll took. He really, because as these types of matches go, as these novelty matches go with special guests, celebrities that are not wrestlers, generally they go easy on the celebrity, and the celebrity usually wins. Not so in this case. In this case, Jelly Roll really got beat up by McIntyre a few times, a lot of times by Logan Paul, and then they even the real beatdown was when Drew McIntyre laid him out on the announcer's reinforced desk, and then Logan Paul goes on the top rope and does a frog splash from over there, destroying the table along with Jelly Roll and himself. And then you have the medical people, the medical staff come in and spend time trying to resuscitate him, so to speak, and get him back up and try to bring him to the back for further medical assessments and what have you, while Randy Orton is getting double teamed by Drew and Logan Paul. But Jelly Roll, eventually, as he's about to get to the ramp, he stirs up he gets his faculties back. He insists on taking more abuse. And this is the point where he, all of a sudden, I guess adrenaline kicks in. You know, how story writing, how billing is with wrestling. He's now souped up. He does like a tackle. He does a choke slam of Logan Paul. And then he does a move on Drew with Drew McIntyre's momentum off because Drew uses the rope to run at him, and so he uses his momentum to also slam him in Jelly Roll fashion. And so it looks like the tide is going on his side, and everyone's now rooting for Jelly Roll because of the hit he took on the table and the abuse. Like, you got to give him props for that. Like, for a celebrity non-wrestler guy to take the abuse that only wrestlers would take normally, and yet still have the audacity or the guts to still continue on, and the show must go on and still get back in there. You got the fans in your favor, and so you're rooting for him, but then of course Drew McIntyre does his kick. I was about to call it the Sami Zayn kick, the Khalifa kick, but it's not. It's called, his kick is called something else, but the name escapes me. So yeah, Drew kicks him, and then Paul does the final finishing touches, and I think it was another frog splash, and that was it. 1, 2, 3. Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre wins. So all in all, it was a fun match. I enjoyed it. And then, of course, the match of the night, you have CM Punk versus Gunther. Now, this match was definitely a callback to old style of wrestling. And maybe it's because I'm an old style of wrestling fan. I watched wrestling back in the 80s when I was a kid, back when it was on Channel 5 and Channel 9, before Channel 5 was Fox 5 and Channel 9 was UPN or CW or whatever it's called now. It was just a local channel. But yeah, it was just a brutal, slow match of chops and going for weak spots, and I found the match entertaining. Some people might not have found it entertaining because it wasn't your more current, more modern, high flying, action packed, like fast moving type matches. This was slow, steady work of like chopping them and hurting them and choking them and just brutality. So for me, I enjoyed it, and it looked like Gunther was going to win. But then, of course, Gunther, which has been his story arc lately, since he's become, well, actually no, when he first lost the Intercontinental title, that's what happened against Sami Zayn. He was overpowering Sami Zayn. I think that was in WrestleMania 40. He was overpowering him, but then he got cocky, and so he started gloating about it, and then Sami Zayn took advantage of that and beat him. And then he won the heavyweight title, and then he lost to Jey Uso for the same reason. He was overpowering him, but then he got cocky, and then he lost. He didn't expect to be caught in a sleeper hold, so he tapped out. But then he won it again, and he beat a bunch of people since. So here we are, CM Punk, Gunther. Gunther's, for the most part, coming out on top in the match. But then he starts bragging about it, and he's like standing on top of the announcer table, and CM Punk takes advantage of that and pulls him from his legs, having him slam his head on the table and then fall under it. And then as CM Punk is recuperating and getting a breather because Gunther is out, And then he gets back into the ring, and then when Gunther finally pops out from under the table, you see him covered in blood. The announcers aren't sure if it's a broken nose or whatnot, but the tables are turned, and so now CM Punk is incentivized, and he's starting to beat the crap out of him. He does two of his moves, the do not sleep, or the whatever his move is called. I'm bad with names, and he wins. And we think, oh, okay, CM Punk is finally gonna have a title. No Seth Rollins around because he's injured, and here we are. We finally have CM Punk is finally getting his chapter closed, his story ended, his happy ending that he wanted. And then lo and behold, within a few minutes, you hear Seth Rollins music, and he comes out in his crutches with Paul Heyman holding the suitcase. Apparently, that has been a thing since Seth Rollins' injury. It's only Paul Heyman has been holding on to his case for a number of weeks, as a reminder that it's still it's still out there, but we don't know what's going to happen because of Seth Rollins' quote unquote injury. Well, here we are. He's coming out in his crutches, and he's acting all menacing, and he's saying whatever. We can't hear him, obviously, because he's up there, but it seems like he's threatening CM Punk, and you'll get yours or whatever. And then he makes to, like, he's gonna go back into the back, but then he stops. He lets go of his crutches, turns back around, and you're like, oh, he's standing upright without the need of crutches. What's going on? And then he takes his shades, he throws those to the side, and he starts unstrapping the knee brace as he's heading towards the ring. And you're like, oh, it's gonna happen. CM Punk had like a 30-minute drag out fight with Gunther. He finally got on top. He is beyond exhausted, and he is mentally drained. He does not have the energy for this BS. But Seth Rollins, since CM Punk has come back, he's been saying, I am going to make your life miserable. I am not going to let you have a chance to win a belt. Well, CM Punk just won one, but Money in the Bank man himself, Seth Rollins, is taking his opportunity to shoot his shot. So he starts beating him up with the suitcase, and as CM Punk is sprawled out on the floor, he cashes it in, waits for CM Punk to get on all fours, does the head stomp, rolls him over, 1, 2, 3. Now Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Champion. And CM Punk's reign as a champion is a few minutes less than Drew McIntyre, when Drew McIntyre lost to Money in the Bank winner of the time, Damian Priest, because of CM Punk. CM Punk, like he did with what's his name? Actually, no, I don't think he did the same thing with Drew McIntyre. I think he just took his arm brace and beat him with it, and then threw him in the ring, and then Damian Priest ran out. I think that was WrestleMania 42, actually. And he ran out, cashed in his Money in the Bank suitcase, and took the heavyweight championship away from Drew. So Drew had it for like 5 minutes and 39 seconds or something like that. And CM Punk has just beat that record. He's had it less than Drew McIntyre. So in a way, Drew McIntyre has won twice this night. He won with Logan Paul against Randy Orton and Jelly Roll, and he outdid CM Punk's short reign. So that's how night one ended, and that won me over. This match was, like I said, the match itself, just CM Punk and Gunther going at it, drag out, was so intense, and just the storytelling of it drew me in. All the other matches didn't really drew me in as much as that one. Um, and I guess it's because I didn't know what made CM Punk decide to go after Gunther, other than CM Punk wants a belt, Gunther has the belt, and so there wasn't really much of a story there to follow. So I wasn't really lost. It was just a battle of egos, and Gunther was winning, but he let his ego get the better of him. CM Punk took advantage. You're happy for him. Though, as you already can tell, um, I'm not totally sad that he lost because of Seth Rollins. As I mentioned, I'm a Drew McIntyre fan, and I believe both Drew and Seth are right. They may be the heels right now, but I agree with their side of the story in terms of how they feel, what they think about, and what they feel about CM Punk. So, seeing Seth Rollins beat CM Punk was a pleasant surprise. It was a fun surprise because not only was it like, oh, what a sucker punch that was to CM Punk, but I was kind of sad when I heard that Seth Rollins got injured, because I was like, that sucks, because he just came back from the knee injury, and he just created this faction with Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, only to get injured when all these stories were now starting to center around him as the main anchor. He was the new big baddie, because the bloodline is no more. Roman Reigns has become more of a part-timer. He comes every other PLE he shows up. And he's now a lone wolf. Like, he doesn't have anybody else. Like, Paul Heyman left him. Solo Sikoa betrayed him. Solo Sikoa now is in SmackDown, and for the most part, Roman Reigns is still on Raw. So he's alone. And he's rarely around. And like I said, Judgment Day has been, has just been, for the most part, they've been the laughing stock of a faction. I guess until recently, with Roxanne Perez being added into the picture, and they are starting to have wins now. I think Finn and JD are tag team champions again. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Well, I haven't been watching the regular shows anymore. I'm sticking to the PLEs. So, anyways, where was I going with that? So yeah, that upset was that surprise was cool. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it's making me. Well, I'm definitely gonna tune into this Monday Night Raw to find out where we're gonna go from here, because that's an interesting storyline. Because now you have Seth Rollins once again did CM Punk dirty. So as much as CM Punk is saying, I'm trying to push him to my rearview mirror. I don't want to deal with him anymore. He has no choice now, really, because once again he did something to you. Number two, he now is the champion, which is what you want to be. You want to be a champion, but the only way for you to be a champion is you have to beat him, who just did you dirty. And so there's that. Gunther obviously wants to get his belt back, so he's going to want another title shot. Roman Reigns probably wants to win. He's probably going to come up in a few months or so. And yeah, so there's other people out there that I'm sure circling around him that have been eyeing that title. Sami Zayn, that was one of the parts of the storyline that he wanted to beat Karrion Kross for this third and final time to to finally get that whole, there's evil in me, and versus and I just need to let that out in order to finally become a champion contender, versus I'll just do it my way, which is the right and pure way. And so now he's won. So now he's going forward to that next step, which is a title shot. That's what he wants. And so you have like at least 3 or 4 other possible storylines for the next PLE around Seth Rollins. So and also the fact that it looks like Braun Breaker just got injured in that match against Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. This was a nice. This was a nice silver lining to that faction, because having Braun Breaker get hurt sucks, but good news is Seth Rollins now is your champion. So your organization, your faction is still strong, and now you're definitely a force to be reckoned with, because you have a title to validate your place in the hierarchy of Monday Night Rollins, as he likes to call it. So that was cool. So on to night 2, you have Naomi versus Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. Naomi was she won the Money in the Bank, the women's Money in the Bank, and I think she used it in Evolution to steal the title from Io Sky. I don't believe I watched. If it was in Evolution, then I didn't watch it. If it was in Money in the Bank, no, it wasn't. The last PLE I saw was Money in the Bank. So yeah, I think in Evolution, Naomi used the Money in the Bank suitcase to steal the title from Io Sky, which I didn't see. So I didn't know about it. I found out about it, but I didn't see it happen, so to speak. So this match was fun. It was interesting seeing Rhea Ripley and Io Sky work as a team for a moment, because I always saw them as antagonistic. First, when Io Sky was part of Damage Control and she was bad, and so she was always attacking. Well, actually, no, she didn't really attack Rhea. But since Rhea was the well, no, she did. She did challenge Rhea when she had the belt a few times, but then and then Liv got it, and then Io beat Liv, and then Rhea's been trying to beat Io to get the title back, but she keeps losing. So that's the ongoing story between them, that Rhea Ripley has never been able to beat Io Sky. So you have that going on. So there was always like this bit of so definitely when there was like this rivalry between Rhea, Bianca, and Io, it was mainly between Rhea and Bianca, and to them, Io was just in the way, even though she was the champion. But they had their triple match, and Io bested them both times. So it looked like, actually the one time. And then the other time was just Io versus Ripley, as while Bianca was a special guest referee. So my point is, during all that time, there was always like this antagonism between them. There was they weren't friendly with each other. So seeing them friendly with each other during this match was interesting. So something must have happened since Money in the Bank till now that changed their relationship with one another, where they are now cordially respecting each other and are actually friendly with each other, because they're both baby faces. And so let's both try to keep Naomi out of the picture, and then we can have our own friendly bout between us. So it was cool seeing them try to do that. But then, of course, hijinks happening with Naomi dodging Rhea's kick, which ended up kicking Io or dodging Io's whatever attack, and then that ends up hitting Rhea, and so on. And it was a fun match, and I thought finally Rhea's going to win, but of course Naomi creeps in and rolls Rhea over and runs away with the title. Runs away with retaining her title, I should say. And I got to say, I kind of like this heel Naomi. This do not proceed with caution storyline. She's a little deranged, a little psychotic now that she feels that Bianca somehow betrayed her or took their friendship for granted because of her whole being tag team champions with Jade Cargill in the past. And even though she took out Jade Cargill so she could help retain the titles with Bianca, she feels like Bianca betrayed her, not the other way around. So I like her storyline, and I'm not as dissatisfied with the result of that match. That was a fun match. After that, when you had the 6-way table, ladder, and chair match, that match was bonkers. I loved it. I was rooting for the Street Profits because, like I mentioned, the last time I watched a regular match was the SmackDown back in March, where they had a table ladder chair match there, and the Street Profits retained their title. Apparently, the whatchamacallit, the Wyatt Six are the current champions of SmackDown, and that right there is disappointing. And because, as I mentioned, when the Wyatt Six first came around with Uncle Howie, it was sort of an ode to this guy who wasn't around when I was watching wrestling, Bryant, whatever his name was, Bryant something. He was into making these like horror characters in wrestling, and so this group, the Wyatt Six, they were friends of that guy. Uncle Howie is his brother, I think, and so they were trying to continue that legacy that this deceased guy left, and so the Wyatt Six were supposed to be like this, almost like a morality tale group. They were like they're like a supernatural group. Everything always goes dark when they show up, and then they target someone who has been quote unquote naughty, for lack of a better word, someone who's been evil. Originally, like I said, when they premiered, it was what's his face? I just said his name earlier. Oh man, the guy who betrayed R-Truth. I forgot his name now. The Cleveland Brown fan. What's his name? God damn it. Okay. The Miz. That's who it was. The Miz. So when they premiered, their first target. Well, actually, no, it was Kurt Angle. Not Kurt Angle. Chad Gable. That's his name. I keep calling him Kurt Angle. So Chad Gable. I finally remembered his name. So their first target was Chad Gable because of of Alpha Academy. That was his original faction, the Alpha Academy. He was always abusive of the three members of Alpha Academy. Their names I forget. The big guy, the Asian guy, and the female. Forgive me, I don't know their names. I'm a casual wrestling fan. So he was always abusive of them. And he always blamed them for his failures, and he would take it out on them all the time. So the White Six targeted him first to reform him. That was their whole persona. That was their storyline. So you had that, And then the next guy was the Miz, because he betrayed R-Truth, because R-Truth was always being erratic with his setting up these title matches that the Miz did not want to do. He wanted to take a breather. He's like, hey, we're defending champs. Let us take a break and let them come to us. Not you just immediately just give a title bout match to anyone. But he would do that. So the Miz had enough, and he turned heel on R-Truth. So then they targeted him. And then they targeted the Final Testament, because they were a heel group. And then that was the end of that. They disappeared. There was, like I said, there were rumors that they were going to come back with Alexa Bliss, because she was also part of that whole group of people. But thankfully that didn't happen. But apparently, I guess now they're going for titles, which that kind of kills the mystique of Wyatt Six. They're supposed to be a supernatural group that always shows up when everything goes dark, and there's always smoke and stuff. And so seeing the setup of the tag team of the 6-way TLC match, and just seeing the rocking chair out in broad daylight, I think they had smoke, but it was broad daylight. There was no, blackness with lanterns and spooky music, and it just it didn't give the same vibe that the Wyatt Six originally gave. So wasn't a fan. Don't care for them. And they ended up winning, though. They were the least, from what I was watching. Like I said, I was rooting for the Street Profits. If DIY won it, I would have been okay with that as well. Fraxium, they're a cool group from NXT. I saw a few of their matches. So that would have been interesting. I even would have been okay with Andrade and Rey Fenix, which I find interesting, because Rey Fenix is part of the Rey Fenix. He's his brother is Penta from Monday Night Raw, and before they joined the WWE, they were a tag team. Rey Fenix and Penta. They were called the Lucha Brothers. But I guess because Rey Fenix is on SmackDown and Penta is on Monday Night Raw. Sorry, yeah, Penta's on Monday Night Raw. Rey Fenix is on SmackDown. I guess because they're on separate shows, and Penta has a good solo career going, they decided to pair him up with Andrade, which is kind of cool, because Andrade had nothing going for him. He had a couple of good matches with Carmelo Hayes, which is another. What happened to Carmelo Hayes? Like, they never have him on PLEs. See, so that's another one of my dislikes of what's been going on this year. Like, Carmelo Hayes is not getting any PLE matches. But anyway, so seeing him with Rey Fenix and Andrade as a tag team is a cool concept. I'm interested. So it was a fun match all around, but I wasn't happy with the Wyatt Six winning. Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, and it was so cheap, because they won in typical. They won in heel. Like, are they bad guys or are they good guys? Because the Wyatt Six were supposed to be good guys, but they won in a bad guy way. I mean, I guess because it was a no disqualification match, they could do it. But they cheated. They used all of the Wyatt Six for them to win. So it wasn't just these two guys, Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy. You also had Uncle Howie. And the big, I don't know the names of the other characters from the Wyatt Six, but you had all of Wyatt Six help these two guys win the tag team match. So they won the way a heel team would win. But as far as I know, the Wyatt Six are not heels. So I don't know. Wasn't happy with the result, but you know what? All around, it was a fun match. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Last I saw them, Lyra had already beat Becky. I want to say Money in the Bank. That was, in that PLE, Lyra beat Becky Lynch. But then they fought again, and Becky cheated. Or was that Money in the Bank? I don't remember. But I think I saw the two matches that they had prior to this one. But apparently in Evolution, Bayley got involved. She came back from her non-injury or whatever. Because Bayley was originally going to be Lyra's tag team partner back in WrestleMania, but she got injured, and Becky became her tag team partner instead. And then it turned out that Becky, like Naomi, she pulled a Naomi. She sidelined Bayley, but then she's been out of the picture until I guess Evolution, and so yeah, Bayley was gone since she got sidelined for WrestleMania, but then she apparently showed up on Evolution. I guess they had a three-way. Becky still retained the Intercontinental title. Um, and then they had this match. So this match I really wasn't paying attention. I tried. For me personally, it sort of dragged. I haven't been following the storyline between them. Um, I did see the betrayal back in whenever it happened. I think it was Monday Night Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania because they lost the very next night, and then they had their matches. So I haven't been following it since Money in the Bank was the last time I saw them. So apparently it was still going on. So I mean, Becky plays a good heel, and Lyra is fun to watch. But I don't know, this match I felt like it was dragging. I don't know, it didn't keep my attention. I lost interest, and then Bayley shows up towards the end, and then because of Bayley, Becky was able to win, and now Lyra cannot challenge Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Championship anymore until Becky loses it to someone else. So as long as Becky is the IC champion, the women's IC champion, Lyra cannot fight her. So now Lyra is going to be in the lurch. So I guess all she can do is go for the women's championship against. So she's on Monday Night Raw. So she can challenge. What's her name? Naomi. She can go. She can go for one belt higher. Then you have the steel cage match, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. That was underwhelming to me because in every Jacob Fatu match that I've seen, and I haven't been watching the SmackDowns since the one in March. So we're in August. We're looking at 5 months of SmackDowns I haven't been watching. But since Jacob Fatu has been in the WWE up until March and up until Money in the Bank, I guess he's always been domineering and almost indestructible. Like it would take it would take like 2 or 3 guys to beat him up for him to go down. He would always go back up. So to see him be almost on an even keel with Solo Sikoa was like they really nerfed him. For for booking purposes, for storyline purposes, they lowered his stats, so to speak, and they leveled up Solo Sikoa because Solo Sikoa was dominating the fight most of it. And then when Jacob finally started showing his second wind, where he's now taking a beating and just getting back up, Solo's new faction, his new family of I don't know their names, Tungaloa, this new tall guy, this new Tonga, and this other guy who his name was JC Mateo, I think his name is JC Mateo now. But when he first showed up, I think it was like Justin Cobb or something, but now it's JC Mateo. But he was supposed to be the new Jacob Fatu, but he hasn't really been that dominating from what I've seen. The new Tonga is, because he's taller, bigger, and stronger and whatever. But yeah, but once Jacob started, getting his second win. Now you had that whole group show up, and then Jimmy Uso try to help, but 1 against 3 isn't gonna work, and and because of the numbers game, Solo wins because there's just too many people for Jacob to go against. So I wasn't really that match wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be because I expected Jacob to really beat the crap out of Solo, but they nerfed him in the very beginning to make Solo look better, and then when they started making Jacob fight at his normal level, so to speak, then they had the numbers advantage to again nerf him and make it so he had no chance of really winning. The next match was fun, was much better, definitely better than the steel cage match. It was Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship, and I'm a fan of Dominic, even though he's a heel, and he just doesn't look like the part of like all the wrestlers who are all muscle. He's all stringy looking, but yet he pretends like he's all buffed, like he'll show his guns, so to speak, which there's like you don't see any muscle definition on his body at all. He's just tall and thin, but he is a good in-ring performer, and he knows he was able to counter AJ's moves, and AJ was able to counter back. They had good back and forths. It was funny that they were both doing homages to Eddie Guerrero, who Dominic likes to pretend that might be his biological father, because you can't tell. We never, because like early 20 years ago or whatever, there was a custody battle fight, a wrestling match between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, for Dominic Mysterio, for custody of him, because Eddie was claiming that he slept with Rey's wife or whatever, so no one knows who Dominic's real father is. That's the story. And even though it's purported that Rey Mysterio is the biological father of Dominic Mysterio, he looks a lot like Eddie Guerrero. And then, of course, with his hair and mustache, his aesthetics, it makes him look more and more like it might be possible that Eddie Guerrero is really his father. But anyways, AJ Styles also was doing an homage to Eddie Guerrero by wearing Eddie-themed wrestling suit, and he came in a lowrider, and he was he was dressed the part, and he did a couple of Eddie Guerrero moves in the ring along with Dominic Mysterio. But Dominic Mysterio, in the end, out-Eddied AJ and retained his title. So it was a fun match, and it was a cool spin on seeing Dominic, because like I said, he doesn't look overpowering physically wise. Wow, I can't my words. He doesn't look physically overpowering, right? Because he's stringy looking. He's very thin and very little to no definition. Whereas AJ Styles looks, he looks like a G.I. Joe toy. He's all buffed and ripped with like no body fat. So that being said, though, Dominic uses his brains to outwit AJ. He right before AJ was going to do his leg submission move, he unzipped his boot so that and then played the part that he was like limping, like that leg hurt, to direct AJ to his leg, so to speak. At least that's the script writing. So then when AJ does the move to put him in that submission hold again, because the boot is unzipped, it comes right off, freeing Dominic Mysterio from him. And then he then uses that boot as a weapon to knock out AJ Styles when the referee's not looking, to win the match. So he outsmarted him. And then, of course, we have the final battle, the main event of SummerSlam Night 2, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. So since WrestleMania 41, John Cena has been a heel. And early on, we were under the impression that John Cena sold his soul to The Rock because The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to him, and obviously Cody didn't in Elimination Chamber, and then John Cena betrayed Cody Rhodes, and so the idea was, the suspicion was that John Cena was the one who sold his soul to The Rock. Apparently, that wasn't the story. So yeah, The Rock ruined a lot of storylines by putting himself in, making things up, and then nothing coming of it. So I hope there are no more Rock stories in the future going forward. Just because if you're not going to commit to it fully, don't bother. Because it just ruins the experience. It definitely did for me. I like a good cohesive storyline. I don't want something that's just half-assed and spur of the moment and we're just making it up as it goes, because then there's no cohesion, there's no it's just bad writing. And at least for me, I needed to, for believability purposes, I needed to be consistent, have a follow through, and just an arc, like a good story, beginning, middle, and end. You want it to be well scripted, and just making up plots as you go along doesn't work. I mean, injuries will happen, so obviously you have to write around that. But other than those situations, if you're not gonna follow through on something, just don't even bother with it in the first place, because don't waste your time. So, anyways, Cody Rhodes and John Cena was like a 30-minute match, more or less, and they really gave it their all. John Cena, this was the best wrestling I've seen him do during this whole since WrestleMania 41. Since he's been back in the WWE, this is the best I've seen him as a wrestler. He was fast, he was quick, he was able to do counters. He didn't have to slow it down all the time, and Cody, of course, was typical Cody. And they really beat the crap out of each other. It was a street fight, so no DQ, so anything goes. Thankfully, no interferences from Travis Scott or anybody. It was just one-on-one, and wasn't a lot of weapon use. Like, they used a chair a few times, they used a few tables, but not at the level that I expected of a typical. Because street fights usually have that. They usually use trash cans. There was at one point in the match when they decided to go amongst the audience. Cody threw John Cena over the barrack. And so they were fighting amongst the crowd and moving around, and then they got back into the stage area and so on. That was towards the end of the match. But Cody did all his finishing moves on Cena. Cena did all his finishing moves on Cody Rhodes. But for whatever reason, they kept pushing out of the finishing moves. It wasn't enough to take the pin. Up until the very, very, very end, when was there a table involved? I think there was one last table that was used. I think Cena was going to use it on Cody. Cody ended up using it on Cena, and then with that, he did the crossroad, which is his finishing move. He saluted him one last time, and did the final crossroad after so many, and then finally won via pinfall. So Cody Rhodes is once again the undisputed champion. John Cena will not follow through with his promise of, once he does his final dates, he's just going to walk away with the title and take it away from the WWE. Now that's not possible because Cody beat him before that deadline. And so that's how SummerSlam ends. So it was a good ending. I appreciated it. I was pleased with Cody winning. Oh, and then Brock Lesnar popped up out of nowhere. So that's going to be interesting. So I guess John Cena is going to finish his final few months with some matches against Brock Lesnar, while Cody finds other people to fight against. Probably maybe Solo Sikoa. He's in SmackDown, so you have Solo Sikoa, his faction, maybe Roman Reigns. I just hope The Rock stays out of it. That's all I care. I hope The Rock stays out of it overall. So that's my overall wrap up of SummerSlam. The best of it. The best thing that happened was the surprise Money in the Bank cash in via Seth Rollins. That really won me over and made me want to definitely go check out Raw and SmackDown this week, and see if I'll get back into SmackDown and Raw from here on out for the rest of the year. Because yeah, that was good writing. That really won me over. I'm not happy with Karrion Kross. Naomi was good. I was at Cody Rhodes versus Cena was fine. I was kind of sick of the whole Cena run, to tell you the truth. But I'm not a Cena fan. He got into wrestling as I was leaving. He came in around the same time as Randy Orton, I think, which was as I was no longer watching it. So I didn't grow up on John Cena, or not grow up, but I wasn't a fan during his reign. So I didn't really have any emotional investment on his story, on his final year. That doesn't really matter to me. Cody Rhodes was more interesting in that aspect. I was disappointed with the whole possibility of him and The Rock fighting not panning out, because that was always in the air when he beat Roman Reigns in WrestleMania 40. So yeah. So I want The Rock to be out of the picture from here on out, and I'm looking forward to more to other new storylines with Cody. Hopefully, and maybe with Roman again. Maybe CM Punk is going to give up on. Maybe, because he doesn't want to deal with Seth Rollins, so maybe he'll come back to SmackDown and go after Cody Rhodes. So we'll see. So I'm looking forward to see what the next few SmackDown and Raws will bring before Clash in the Castle, and go from there. So that's my review as a casual wrestling fan. If you want to see more of this, by all means, hit the like button, subscribe, and write in the comments below. Otherwise, this will be it. Until next time.